Thanks, Justin. For those of you that don't know me, my name is John Sears. I am the Admin Services Coordinator for Vermont's Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation, former Lean Coordinator for DEC, and super excited to talk to you today about mail merge. So, mail merge is a pretty old function tied deeply to Microsoft Word. Um, I would not be surprised if many of you heard that we were talking about mail merge today and wonder if you slipped into some kind of wormhole and woke up in 1999. Um, Mail merge has been around a really long time, but it's still as useful and versatile and powerful today as it was back then, and in some ways, potentially even more powerful. We're going to be talking on a very cursory level about what mail merge can do, as well as talking about how to build some mail merges, and then um, do an exercise that you can feel free to walk through or rewatch on YouTube to try and figure out how to do it yourself. But first, I want to begin with some informal survey. Uh, Show of hands, how many people know what mail merge is? If you know what mail merge is, raise your hand. All right, so we've got roughly 67 participants, and we've got 35 hands raised. So roughly half of you know what mail merge is. All right. Of the people that know who mail merge is, or know what mail merge is, how many of you have used it? So put your hands down and show of hands for who has used the mail merge feature before. Oh my gosh, 15. Oh, 22, 24, 25, 26. Okay, so around 30 people. So that tells you that of the people that know what mail merge is, most of you have used it before. And that's really telling because mail merge is extremely, extremely powerful and really, really versatile. So I'm going to take you guys on a little bit of a journey today, and we're going to play pretend a little bit as we build a mail merge scenario. So I'm going to share my screen, and we will go ahead and get started. So um, I want to begin by saying I really, really like my job. Um, and I'm very happy with my job. But for the purposes of this training, we're going to go ahead and pretend I didn't. I am done with my job. I need to get out, and I need to get out now. And the fastest way I've decided that I'm going to get out of this job is I am going to send my cover letter to as many people as I possibly can. And I want to maximize my chances of getting every job I apply to, or at least getting in the door for an interview. And so we're going to start right here from what is essentially a slightly older version of my cover letter. So you can see it here. It's pretty classic, right? To whom it may concern. Here's what I do. Here's some of the skills I have. And then at the bottom, it says, I'm very excited at the possibility of working for your company, and I look forward eagerly to hearing from you soon. So I could come up with a bunch of email addresses for a bunch of hiring managers and send it out to a bunch of people. But one of the things that anyone that knows anything about cover letters will tell you is that it's really easy to tell when someone has a mass-produced cover letter, and it's really, really off-putting because they like the personal touch. They like to see the effort. They like to see that you have prepared this for them, that you're interested in that job. But honestly, who's got the time? I got to get out now. I don't have the time to put in the due diligence and meticulously craft a cover letter for each and every job I'm planning on applying to. So I'm going to use mail merge to cheat. And here's how we're going to do that. So it begins very, very simply. So starting with an Excel spreadsheet here, I went ahead and I put some header names on here. So this is some of the information that I'm going to put in. So first name, last name, addresses, towns, zip codes, email addresses, the name of the company, and then a field that I've got personal touch. We can go ahead and we can add additional fields as we go. But this is just kind of the starting point. So let's go ahead and add some people. Bill, Mark, Sue, Amy, Justin. All right, that's good for the first round. We could obviously have a lot more of these, and we're going to be building an Excel spreadsheet today, and you can do this. You can build your own Excel spreadsheets to run mail merges for lots of different things. You can also use Excel spreadsheets that maybe you're exporting from a database or some other system. It honestly doesn't really matter where your Excel or your CSV comes from. It just matters that it has the relevant data that you want to use to populate the mail merge that you're going to be running. So let's just use some wonder who Justin K could be. So we're going to have some addresses. So 21221B Baker Street. I'm not going to come up with a real address for each one, but 23R Street, Ave, Court, and State Ave. All right. And we've got a second address, so we're just going to go ahead and put room 2. We'll leave the rest blank, and we'll just say just leave it like that. So some towns: Montpelier, Barry, Northfield, Lebanon, and Woodstock. Oh, we're missing a field here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert a field. State, VT. I'm going to fill these all with VT, and then I'm going to change this to New Hampshire. And I'm going to show off a really cool thing that we could talk about some other time, or you can email me if you have a need of this. But one of the most frustrating things about zip codes in Excel is when you're like, okay, 05604. I don't think that's right. See what it did to my zip code. So let's just go ahead and we'll just drag down all these except 03749. Who knows? Oh, all those zip codes are awful. Well, I have a special button that automatically fixes my zip codes. We'll go edit bill at comcast.net, mark at yahoo.com, sue at gmail.com, amy at invest.com. I don't even know if that's a thing. And Justin at Vermont. I know that's not right. State of Vermont. Comcast, Yahoo. These are the actual companies that they work for. FastCat and Starbucks. I really got to get out, you guys. Personal touch, things can get really interesting. So I think for most of these people, I just want to say I am a very good worker. Hire me, please. And I'm going to do that for all of these people, but I know Justin is very superficial. So I'm going to say you are very handsome. Hire me, please, Justin.
This one's going to the top of my list, absolutely.
All right. So this is my mail merge list. This is the information that I want to send. It took me very little time to put this thing together, and we're going to see how this turns into a mail merge. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we're going to go ahead and jump into our mail merge. So this is our cover letter that we already wrote. So we need to append a bunch of address information. So starting a mail merge is really, really easy. And you'd think you would start it with starting mail merge. But really all it does is kind of tweak the formatting of it. So if you know for sure you're going to send an email message, you can do email message and you see how it formats it in kind of the HTML format. You can leave it as letters, and that's just your basic formatting. If you're doing envelopes, it'll do envelopes. I shouldn't have clicked envelopes because it'll want you to specify what envelopes you're doing. You can also do this for labels, and you can also kind of use it to build an actual directory in Word. If you have a specific template, you can build a template in Word and use the normal Word document to do that. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick to letters for now. Select recipients are where things get interesting, and we're going to use an existing list. So you can build, you're basically building you can either build a database in Word that's tied to the document, or you can grab it from an existing list. That's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to grab an existing list. I'm going to go to downloads where that list is. I'm going to grab my mail merge demo. So that's the document that I just completed. And it'll list tables that you have as well as tabs that you have available. You can see right here that it's got this table that's available. There's a check mark here if your first row contains column headers. You almost always want to include column headers. And just like that, the data is in this document. How do we access it? So it's as simple as inserting merge fields. You can do a greeting line if you want. Basically, it will auto construct the language, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to insert the merge field specifically. So when we click insert merge field, you're going to see each and every one of the fields that we created in that Excel document. First name, last name. So let's go ahead and put those: first name, space, last name. So it puts each tag as inside those double carets. So every tag that's in here, you'll get to see as we construct. So we're going to go ahead and do address 1 space address 2. We're going to insert the town, comma, space state, space zip code. We don't really have anything to do with the email address. All right. So, and now is where we can get to the customization of our actual email. So to whom it concerned is very general and not specific or targeted at anyone in particular. So instead of saying to whom it may concern, we're going to go ahead and wipe that out. And we can either just grab first name space last name and paste those in. So we're referencing that first name and last name again, or we could just insert those mail merge fields. Because we know the company name, we can go ahead and go, instead of saying work for your company, we can go ahead and highlight that and replace it with company. So now it'll say working for the name of the actual company. And we also had that special touch that we wanted to put in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it above our sign off line and insert merge field, personal touch. And that's really all there is to it. So before we actually run it, we can go ahead and hit preview results. So we can use this to actually scroll through it, and it'll show you what each record will look like. So here you can see record 1, Bill A. It's got that address, Barry, Vermont, to Bill A. Everything I said, I am a very good worker. Hire me, please. I am excited at the possibility of working for Comcast, and I look forward eagerly to hearing from you soon. So we can scroll through these and make sure they all look okay. If there's no information in a field, it will just fill it up with nothing. So not even just a space, it'll fill it in with nothing. So the fact that we have av and we have no second address in here, there just won't be anything here. Let's go ahead and reach the last one, Justin K, whoever that might be. Here it is. You are very handsome. Hire me, please, Justin. Just like we put it together. So there are a couple of ways that you can produce this mail merge, and they're all available here. So if you want to edit individual documents, it will create a new document, and you can specify a range of records that you want to produce, or you can produce the whole thing. And when we do that, it will basically create a new document, see letters 1, that contains all of our pages, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records, we can go ahead and confirm that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on our list. So it created one for each person, just like when we scrolled through, and each one has that personalized information contained within it, exactly the way we set it up. That's one way of finishing the mail merge. So we can go ahead and save that as an original document. And if we were sending these as actual letters, we could fold them up. If we were creative in how we did it, maybe we could even use a windowed envelope and fold it very specifically so that all the letters could go out. That's one way of doing it. So you'd print all this out and you'd be fine. I'm going to not save. There's another option here of print documents. So generally speaking, if you were going to go straight to printer with these, you could do that, but you can also do Adobe PDF. And what this will do is this will generate 5 distinct PDF documents, one for each record. Now, this is really, really useful for having individual documents that you want to go in and review afterwards, where maybe you don't have to make any additional tweaks, but the printer is running right now. This may take a little while to run. So I'm going to go ahead and change where this is going to downloads. Actually, this one's going to do, I think, a single individual document. Yeah, so this one does the same thing, except the formatting is very specific. It does the same thing that the last one did. When you use merge to PDF, this is the one that should actually create separate documents. So it's running it through the PDF creator. So it's going to create a bunch of temporary documents. And now you can see each one of the documents, 121 or 151, 152, all the way through 155. We'll check 155. That should be Justin. It is Justin, and you see each one is its own distinct document. But where it's really powerful and really relevant for today's needs, and maybe you want to do it as an email first before you run your mail merge, just so you can make sure that it looks the way it does, because it allows you to do these as HTML documents. So if you want to use anything that you put in HTML like you would with a standard Outlook email, you can do that. But when you go to finish and merge, you can send email messages. I have not tried, Rosalie, I see your message. I have not seen if it's possible to edit those PDFs, the names for them. I'll have to check that out. But you notice we didn't use that email information, but email is a field and it recognizes that email is in there and it's automatically going to grab the email. So it's going to send an email to each and every one of those email addresses I specified. I can put the subject line in. One downside is I cannot specify, I can't put mail merge fields in the subject line. But I could go ahead and I could, with one click, hit this button. And I'm not going to do that because I put actual email addresses in there. I'm sure that's somebody's real email address. It will send an individual email to each one of these individuals that looks exactly like this. You know, Justin's email address will get this email. Actually, I can, well, no, I put justin.com because I didn't want to put his actual email address on there, because this will live on YouTube. I didn't want to accidentally dox. I didn't want to
Nice.
dox you. But this will go out to all of those individuals that I highlighted. So it's really, really simple and really, really easy to do. It's easy to build an Excel document, to put all the information in there, and then to roll it out. Now, there's a couple of, this is one reason why you might want to do a mail merge, right? You have, you know, maybe you have a lot of emails to send to a lot of different people or a lot of physical mailings to produce, and you want to generate that information out of a, you know, you'll want to dump something from your database and you want to inject that personal information into those letters or those emails. And so you want it to be personal, you want to reference them. Or maybe you have actual database information like if we want to send an email telling companies how much they owe through some invoice, if we pull the information from the invoice database, we can send an email to all of those people because we have all of their emails and we have all of those invoices. We can automatically craft an email, pull a list of everyone that's overdue, and in that list have their email addresses, the date that that was due, and the amount that's due. Craft an email that says you're overdue, your payment was due on this date, and you're overdue by this amount. Go ahead and send it back to me. And so it's deeply customized, and you don't have to invest in IT resources to build complicated templates that interact with your databases. It's just a couple of clicks on your end. You saw we spent most of our time building that database, that Excel table with the relevant information to send that out. So I want to walk through just a couple of times where I have used mail merge to simplify things that are slightly different than this example. So one example right here, I had a coworker who needs to produce batch grant agreements. So every year she's got to produce around 16, well, right now it's 16 grant agreements, but looking forward to the future with all this federal money that's coming in, she could be producing upwards of 50 different grant agreements. And she has to use the official state template for doing those grant agreements. But she does not want to have to type in this information meticulously on every page for each one of those grant agreements, specifying individualized language. So what we did was we took the existing template and we replaced the blank spaces where the information would go with the various tags. Basically, we took all of the information that the grant agreement needed, built an Excel spreadsheet where we made each one of those a column, and then put the specific amounts, put the specific vendors, put the specific grantee names, all on one Excel spreadsheet, which is a lot easier to produce. And then we run the mail merge on creating this grant agreement. And I'm not going to show that because, again, I don't want to dox anybody. But it allowed us to fill out all of this information from, and we reuse a lot of information, right? So the grant agreement number shows up a bunch of times. Here we are using the grantee name again in a different part of the language. We combined multiple different documents because we have to create one of these for each grant agreement. So we've got two different grant documents as well as this attachment D, which is basically the routing information and the coding information that has to go in. And we just built an Excel spreadsheet with all that information. Again, way easier to produce. And it's as simple as dropping the tags into the relevant locations and then running the mail merge, and boom, 50 grant agreements produced. And all you did was populate an Excel spreadsheet with the relevant information. It took a little while to set up and make sure we were entering everything the way it needed to be entered, but we only had to do that once. And now that it's set up, she can use this every year, every quarter, at whatever cycle she needs to do grant agreements. And all she has to do is update the information in that Excel spreadsheet. She doesn't have to go in and produce a new one of these every time she's got a grant agreement to create. So that's one way of using it. So basically handling high volumes of information and creating those kinds of documents. Another one that I'm really proud of is this timber sale contract. So as a state, when we conduct timber sales, this is a 37-page document. It's actually a couple of documents combined because initially it was 4 separate documents that we combined into one. But what was frustrating about it is people were getting lost in the process because there were 4 separate documents in which they'd have to go into each one and enter the same information in multiple places in every single document. What that means is opportunities for typos, opportunities to miss spots where you're supposed to upload information. And it was a days-long effort to create this 37-page document. And a lot of it was entering the same information. Like you'd be entering the town of the sale and the property of the sale and the contract number over and over and over again for 4 separate documents. But you had to do it for every timber sale that went on. So what we did was we combined all those 4 documents into a single document. And the mail merge that we're running from this is actually just a single line. You don't have to build a big, elaborate database to run a mail merge. We're literally running off of 1 line or maybe 2 if we happen to have 2 timber sales. These don't happen that often, but each one is such a significant lift in and of itself that we have all we did was we put the tags in. So now all you have to do is populate the Excel spreadsheet once, enter all the information once, run the mail merge. And if it uses the contract number a dozen times, who cares? It's automatically going to fill it in because we replaced it with a tag. So I've only got a couple minutes. I want to leave some time for questions. So that's the modern day use for mail merge. Use it for your emails, use it to create letters, use it to save yourself work and automate processes.
I might add a couple things, John. You can't connect directly to a SharePoint list. Hey, someone just asked. I love this. You can't connect directly to a SharePoint list as far as I know, but you can from SharePoint list export to Excel, which creates a refreshable query. And then you can connect to that Excel document to run your mail merge after a refresh. So that would be the way around that. Connect to a Power Query. If the result of a Power Query, I think, is loaded as a table, you'd be good to go.
Yep.
So you'd have to actually load it to the workbook.
Yeah, it's got to be a table or a tab in order for mail merge to find it. There are other more elaborate, more complicated ways to set up repeating tables and things like that, but that's getting into stuff that Justin has played around with that I can't be bothered with.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
I think the only other thing I'll add is I said we wouldn't go into advanced stuff, so we won't, but for those that want to know advanced stuff, there's a whole bunch of calculations that you can do on top of merge fields. So in some of the documents that John shared, if you're having trouble with getting the formatting of it to be, let's say it's a dollar amount and you want it to be decimal with two decimals, you can actually format those merge field codes to be that specific thing that you want. It's definitely tricky to do, but you can do it, and you can run calculations that say if this, then that, if this, then that, based on all of your merge fields. But again, doing that level is not fun.
Yeah, and it'll retain most of the formatting that you put on it in Excel. So if you specify it as so one of the things that you can also do that I should mention, even though we're at the end here, is use Excel to run calculations in Excel and then mail merge those calculations to your mail merge. So if you have to do a sum, you could just do the sum in Excel and then make sure you put the sum field in your mail merge. So yeah, concatenation of merge fields is literally you just put one and then the other. You can put commas in between them. You can do whatever you want, but really you have all the power of Excel to craft the information that you want to put into Word. So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, like most data work, do as much as you possibly can upstream to save yourself from having to do it in mail merge itself.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you for that, John. Any final
Absolutely.
questions before we close out?
Yeah, and one comment, one trick I've learned is when emailing a merged document to a large list, put your name in the to field and everyone else in the BC field. That's smart.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, it's surprisingly resilient. If you send somebody else the mail merge, you just have to make sure you also send them the Excel document, and those are the only 2 pieces they really need. Because basically the data lives within the Word document, but you send them the Excel just to make sure that they have it, so that if they need to update it or do anything like that, they'll be all set. And you can always upload a new document. So if they want to change some things in that Excel document, all they have to do is select recipients, pick the new list. As long as the fields are named right, you're all set.